really choose that my love. Ooh, she's just a girl who claims that I am the one. But yeah, that's not my.
This Michael Jackson biopic has crossed $700 million worldwide, making it 2026's second highest grossing film at the box office. It's left grown men in tears in theaters and introduced an entire generation of teenagers to Michael Jackson for the first time. But beneath the spectacle, director Antoine Fuqua wove in subtle historical references, real-life callbacks, and quiet foreshadowing into nearly every frame details that most viewers walked right past on their first watch. Here are 10 things hidden inside the film. The movie opens not on Michael's face, but on his feet tapping, restless, already chasing rhythm before the story even begins. It seems like a stylistic choice until you realize what Fuqua is doing. Before the fame, before the albums, before the moonwalk, there was the dancer. Later in the film, Michael himself tells a cameraman that you can't capture a dancer by pulling the camera away from his movement. Fuqua essentially hides his own directing philosophy inside a single line of dialogue, using it to justify the very first shot of the movie. Janet and Rebby Jackson are absent throughout, and it's not an oversight, it's a legal decision. Both sisters personally requested that their likenesses not be depicted, and the filmmakers honored that completely. Of the real 9 Jackson siblings, only 7 appear on screen in family scenes, with no title card or acknowledgement explaining the gap. Casual viewers won't notice. Anyone familiar with the family history will see a hole that changes the dynamic of nearly every family scene. Diana Ross was originally part of the story. Actress Kat Graham was cast in the role and reportedly filmed multiple scenes depicting Ross's real influence on the Jackson 5's rise through Motown, where the group was publicly marketed as her discovery. Due to reported legal complications, every one of those scenes was removed from the final cut, erasing one of the most significant figures in young Michael's early career from the finished film. The infamous 1984 Pepsi commercial fire, where Michael's hair caught alight during filming and he was rushed to the hospital, marks a visual turning point rather than just a dramatic set piece. Before the incident, the film's color palette is warm and optimistic. Afterward, everything shifts cooler, darker, and more guarded, mirroring Michael's own state. The real injury caused second and third degree burns to his scalp, required multiple reconstructive surgeries, and is widely cited as the start of the prescription pain medication dependency that followed him for the rest of his life. The gang members in the Beat It video weren't actors. Jackson genuinely recruited real Crips and Bloods members in 1983 after watching a news report on the LA gang war, hoping that filming rivals dancing together could send a message about unity. The real shoot was reportedly tense, with actual enemies standing just feet apart from one another, yet they went through with it, and the video became iconic. A pivotal but brief scene shows Michael firing his father Joe as manager, not face-to-face, but through a fax sent by his attorney in 1981 on the advice of his bodyguard. The scene plays almost darkly comedic on screen, but the real weight is enormous. Joe had controlled nearly every aspect of his children's careers, bookings, discipline, and earnings since they were toddlers, and that single fax effectively ended it. John Landis, director of the thriller short film, appears in the movie but is never named on screen, shown only from a distance or in shadow, credited simply as the thriller short film director. The choice nods to his controversial history. He was at the center of the fatal 1982 helicopter accident on the set of Twilight Zone, the movie that killed an actor, and 2 child performers, letting the film credit his creative contribution while keeping a deliberate distance from the man himself. A tense scene shows Michael and his attorney confronting CBS Records president about MTV's unofficial policy of largely excluding black artists, threatening to pull the label's entire catalog if Jackson wasn't given airtime. It's framed as a clean corporate victory, though the real standoff reportedly came far closer to failing than the film lets on. Michael's vitiligo is introduced almost silently, a brief mirror scene where the first patches of depigmentation appear on his skin, with no dialogue or score underlining the moment. For anyone who followed decades of speculation, bleaching accusations, and public mockery over his changing appearance, that quiet stretch of screen time functions as the film's only real statement on the subject. Finally, the film ends right after the 1988 Bad tour at Wembley, closing on the line, "His story continues." It reads less like a hopeful sign-off and more like a warning. A sequel has since been confirmed as moving forward, one that will presumably have to tackle everything this film avoided: the abuse allegations, the trials, Neverland, addiction, marriages, his children, and his death. Fuqua's film isn't just a tribute, it's a carefully edited puzzle, where the missing pieces Janet, Diana Ross, John Landis, and the darker chapters still to come may matter just as much as everything that actually made it to the screen.